How do you make a response to that? How do you react to that?
Well, first of all, Ed, thank you for having me on your show. And look, from our perspective, as infrastructure investors, we have a thesis-driven approach to investing in infrastructure assets and a longer-term time horizon. And we do believe that AI infrastructure is a significant investment opportunity for us. Now, here at Carlyle, we are developing over 20 gigawatts of data center capacity, primarily hyperscale data center capacity. But we aren't just developing these assets in isolation. We have taken a much more comprehensive view where we are looking across the value chain for AI infrastructure, and we are making sure that we're developing these assets with that comprehensive lens. So that means absolutely developing data centers, but also addressing one of the most significant bottlenecks when it comes to data center development, which is access to power. Look, you had a little bit of a snapshot where you were watching Elon talk about AI, and he was talking about access to energy being the one most significant bottleneck. The way we are developing AI infrastructure is that we are building these large-scale energy campuses where we have power generation capacity that's co-located next to this data center capacity.
That's Copia Power. Am I right? This is actually something that you formed. I was reading about the release back in 2021. It was a new portfolio company that's just building out, in terms of a platform nature, these campuses. The scale is extraordinary. What was interesting was back in 2021, it was all about sort of sustainable infrastructure. It was all about renewable power sources. Is that realistic now when we think about the energy necessity?
Yeah, I mean, Caroline, you're absolutely right. From an energy perspective, you need to take an all of the above approach. So absolutely, you need solar and storage, but gas is a very important part of the solution as well. Look at Copia, for example, we think of data center development as building large campuses. And a campus is basically like a mini city that has multiple gigawatts of power generation capacity. This includes gas, solar, as well as storage. That capacity is connected onto the grid, and located right next to that power generation capacity are hyperscale data centers that are also connected to the grid. So I'm not talking about building islands. I'm talking about building a fully integrated city or a campus, which is a better term for it. And by doing that, you're making sure that data centers are getting access to power in a more timely manner. Remember, timing is very important here. And that power is actually cost effective. Cost and economics matter a lot here. But more importantly, it's also more reliable power. Everyone's talking about 5-9 reliability, which is 99.999%. In order to do that and build long-lived infrastructure assets, that reliability is just a very important point. So at Copia, for example, we have a site that we're building in Arizona. It is about 2 times the size of Manhattan. Once that site is fully built out, you're talking about $30 billion in capital investment between the power generation assets as well as the data center assets. And then Copia has another 5 campuses in the West behind that. So you want to make sure these campuses are located close to where there will be demand for compute power, but you also want to make sure it's going to be cost effective, delivered on time, and also reliable.